Hello and welcome to another episode of China Record, where we explore the fascinating stories behind the world's most populous country. In this episode, we will take a look at the love affair between China and Apple, the American tech giant that produces the iconic iPhone. If you ever visit a major city in China, you will be amazed by how many people are using iPhones, whether they are walking on the streets, dining in restaurants, or taking selfies. Despite having their own domestic brands such as Huawei, which is also a global leader in smartphone technology, many Chinese consumers prefer iPhones for their design, quality, and status. China is a vital market for Apple, as it accounts for a large share of its sales and revenue. But Apple also faces some serious challenges in China, as the US-China tech war escalates. The US government has imposed restrictions on the export of chip-making tools to China, which could affect the production and innovation of Chinese smartphone makers. In response, China has announced a policy that prohibits iPhone use by government officials and state-owned enterprises, which could reduce Apple's market share and influence. While Apple still enjoys a loyal fan base in China, it remains to be seen how it will cope with the changing market conditions and consumer preferences. Stay tuned for more on this story in China Record. The complex relationship between China and Apple. Apple is one of the most successful and influential companies in the world. Its products, such as the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac, are loved by millions of people around the globe. But Apple also faces many challenges and opportunities in its biggest foreign market, China. China is not only a huge source of revenue for Apple, but also a key partner in its production and innovation. Apple relies heavily on China for its manufacturing and supply chain. Apple also sources many of its components and materials from Chinese suppliers. To get a sense of how crucial China is to Apple, prior to the COVID outbreak in October that prompted shutdowns in Zhengzhou, that manufacturing plant was producing 85% of the iPhone Pros, according to an estimate from market research firm Counterpoint, provided to CNN. China is also a vital market for Apple's sales and services. Apple reported $74 billion in sales in the Greater China market during the 12-month period ending in September 2022, or nearly 20% of its global sales for the year, making it the third largest market after the US and Europe. Apple has more than 40 stores in China, and millions of loyal customers who enjoy its ecosystem of apps, music, games, and cloud services. Apple's products, especially the iPhone, have become a symbol of status, wealth, and aspiration for millions of Chinese consumers, who are willing to pay a premium for the brand's quality and innovation. This is a complex phenomenon that involves various factors such as cultural values. In China, owning an iPhone is seen as a way of expressing one's individuality, creativity, and success. The iPhone also appeals to the Chinese consumer's desire for social recognition and belonging, as it is widely used by celebrities, influencers, and elites. Moreover, the iPhone reflects the Chinese consumer's preference for aesthetics, design, and simplicity. Marketing strategies. Apple has invested heavily in building its brand equity in China, by creating a memorable brand experience, fostering brand love, and enhancing brand engagement. Apple has also tailored its products and services to the local market, by offering features such as dual SIM cards, WeChat integration, and Apple Pay. Furthermore, Apple has leveraged its retail stores, online platforms, and authorized resellers to expand its distribution network and customer reach. Product innovation. Apple has consistently delivered innovative products that meet or exceed the expectations of the Chinese consumers. The iPhone 13 series, for example, was launched at a lower price than the previous generation, while offering improved performance, battery life, camera quality, and 5G compatibility. The iPhone 13 also benefited from the supply chain disruptions that affected other smartphone brands in China. Pressure on Apple in China. Apple also faces fierce competition and pressure in China, from both the government and the local rivals. As the US-China trade war escalates, Apple faces several challenges and risks in China. According to a CNBC article, Apple is vulnerable to price increases if a tariff were to be placed on Chinese exports, as the company assembles iPhones in China. Additionally, Apple sells a lot of iPhones in China, making it sensitive to Chinese consumer confidence. In 2018, Apple reported $51 billion in revenue from Greater China, which includes Hong Kong and Taiwan. Furthermore, the regulatory environment in China poses a risk to Apple's operations. The US-China trade war has taken a toll on many companies on both sides as the countries have exchanged tit-for-tat tariffs and other trade barriers due to a dispute over China's unfair trade practices and alleged theft of American intellectual property. Apple also faces supply chain risks due to the trade war. The company relies heavily on Chinese suppliers for its products, and any disruption in the supply chain could have significant consequences for Apple. Now, the world's most valuable tech company is reportedly seeking to accelerate plans to shift production out of the world's most populous country, but reducing its significant dependency on China could take years, if it ever happens at all. In an investor note earlier this week, one analyst at Wedbush Securities estimated it would take Apple until at least 2025 or 2026 to move the majority of its iPhone production to markets like India and Vietnam, but only if it moves aggressively. The move from Apple was response to what's risk that the company is facing in China's market. But the risk is more to come for Apple's iPhone. China has banned the use of iPhones for central government officials. The ban applies to devices from other foreign brands as well. The People's Republic of China has issued a notice ordering officials at central government agencies to not use Apple's iPhones. The iPhone ban restricts Chinese government employees from carrying the devices into their workplaces. In addition, employees are banned from using iPhones for work even outside the office. This move could be seen as retaliation for similar moves made by the United States against Chinese tech and could have a chilling effect on Apple and other large foreign brands with an established China presence. The reasons behind the ban are not clear. However, it is speculated that the ban could be a retaliation for similar moves made by the United States against Chinese tech and could have a chilling effect on Apple and other large foreign brands with an established China presence. It is also possible that the ban is due to concerns over data privacy and security. The ban on iPhones for central government officials in China could have a significant impact on Apple's sales in China. According to a CNN article, Apple lost $200 billion in 2 days after reports of the iPhone ban in China. The ban could also lead to a loss of consumer confidence in Apple products, which could further impact sales. China is Apple's third largest market, accounting for 18% of its total revenue last year. It is important to note that the ban only applies to central government officials and not the general public. However, the ban could still have a chilling effect on Apple and other large foreign brands with an established China presence. In conclusion, the iPhone ban for central government officials in China could have a significant impact on Apple's sales in China. The company has already lost $200 billion in 2 days following reports of the ban. However, it is unclear how much of an impact the ban will have on Apple's overall sales in China. Apple's next strategy after the Chinese government ban is not clear. However, according to a MSN article, Apple's stock plummeted by 2.9% after China announced plans to extend its ban on iPhones to include government-backed agencies and corporations. This development has led to heightened investor concerns about Apple's ability to maintain its business operations in China. The ban could also lead to a loss of consumer confidence in Apple products, which could further impact sales. China is Apple's third largest market, accounting for 18% of its total revenue last year. The ban only applies to central government officials and not the general public. However, the ban could still have a chilling effect on Apple and other large foreign brands with an established China presence. In conclusion, it is unclear what Apple's next strategy will be after the Chinese government ban. However, the company's stock has already plummeted, and it is likely that the ban will have a significant impact on Apple's sales in China. According to a South China Morning Post article, Apple is facing one of its toughest sales seasons yet in China, with the launch of the new iPhone 15 range coming just as the company's products have been banned for use by government agencies and state-owned enterprises in the country. While China is still home to thousands of loyal Apple consumers, there are growing signs that the road ahead could be tough for the Cupertino-based company, amid continuing geopolitical tensions and as Huawei Technologies tries to make a comeback with its new Mate 60 Pro handset. China is Apple's third-largest market, accounting for 18% of its total revenue last year. It remains to be seen how much of an impact the ban will have on Apple's overall sales in China. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you in the next episode. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you and may even feature your comment in our next episode.